Sorry about that, folks. Just had to get my good teethers in. All right. So I'm gonna do a quick live stream today. Man, I got rid of that. Sorry about that little pimple on the side of the face, but hey, it is what it is. So, man, that's a big move. Other way. Welcome back to Black, White, and Gold Entertainment. Um, welcome back to Black, White, and Gold Entertainment. This is Boogie Black. Before we get this video started, be sure to go to my website, dragonsightknowledge.com, if you're interested for any numerology or astrology reports about your own numerology chart, your own astrology chart, or if you just need help coming in the next upcoming days, or if you just it's about love and relationships. At the same time, we do have merchandise in the store. Be sure to check that out too. But without further ado, the topics that I'll be talking about today, at least for about 10 minutes, is going to be divine femininity, or the divine feminine, and the number 13. And what this has to do with numerology and astrology and world events that we see going on today. So to start off with the basics, divine feminine. So you can't talk about divine feminine without also talking about divine masculine. I know nowadays they like to kind of drop the term toxic masculinity. You don't really hear toxic femininity. You just a lot of people just call them feminists, unfortunately. I don't believe in the whole toxic masculinity or anything like that. I believe in just bad people and people that don't know how to control or work with themselves. It's not toxic. It's an individual problem, because calling toxic masculinity is almost like, there's a group of individuals that come out just born like that, Nah, it's a learned trait, and it's also a trait that can be denied if learned. We all got a choice to do that. And then you have what's called and then so before I get ahead of myself, divine feminine and divine masculinity is pretty much like the apex, the top point of both. Like what you would expect the most masculine uh, person to be as far as traits and how well they handle them, and then also the same thing with the divine feminine, how good those traits would be. So like women are known for being nurturers, they're known for being caregivers. One thing, and I'm gonna get to that lyrics. I'm gonna say that anything that has feminine qualities, you would expect them to be at the highest. That's divine feminine. You do the same thing with masculine, and I'm repeating myself. So a lot of people kind of like gone away from those terms, and they kind of actually see them as a bad thing when it's not. I will say a little secret though is that all men and all women have masculine and feminine traits to them. It's just how we're built. Now, granted, I am a man. I'm not saying that I'm a woman trapped in a man's body. For those of y'all that feel that way, look, I don't judge, but that's not me, right? But I do have feminine qualities, as in like I'm a really good nurturer. I am a really good caretaker of people. I would definitely say that I could be aggressive when need be, but I'm definitely somebody's going to talk things out a lot more than when I'll actually be aggressive. And I would use my words, and I will definitely calm down the area around me a lot more often than most men would, especially when they get irritated. But that's traits that I have in my body, right? We also got family members that are women that will do what most dudes would do in this situation. So we all have a balance of both, and the objective is to kind of get them to work with each other. Now, the divine feminine, though, is the one that I really want to highlight today, because that is the one that's really, not only is it being really forgotten, it seems almost like it's getting stomped away on purpose. So just to give you a little snapshot for those that don't know, a woman has her cycle 13 times a year, right? 13 times. For those women that are out there, unless you're on like a birth control pill or something that kind of mess with your cycle, you have 13 cycles. The moon itself, moon is actually another word for mother, depending on what certain coaches you are. M-O, moon, mother. The moon has 13 cycles also. And then along with that, you have what's it called? Before I get, if you take the months, before we change the calendar, you take the months, you give them all 28 days, you'll pop out a 13th month. Month is also another one for mother, mom. So you got all these different terms that mean mother, or that could be related to mother, and they all have the number 13. 13 cycles in each one. 13 months, 13 moon cycles, 13 period cycles. So we even knew back then how important it was, how important the divine feminine was. At the same time, I always bring up Gary Greenberg in my videos. He speaks the word manifest. He says women can't manifest, right? And what he means by that is the fact that the word manifest has man in it. So women can't manifest. It's impossible. But the one thing that I realized that they could do is multiply. See, men, we can't multiply. Now, a lot of people be like, oh, yeah, no, we definitely can. We give the seed to the woman and, they have the kid. We're not the ones that carry the baby, though. We're not the ones that bring the baby out and for the baby to come out. Now, I'm not arguing over who's the one that created life, but women carry the child and women hold the eggs. Now, we can go around to a bunch of different women, have a bunch of different kids, but women are still the ones taking what we gave them and multiplying and applying it to something different. You have a woman, you give her a house, she's going to turn it into a home. You give her affection, she's going to turn it into love. You give her children, she's going to turn them into generations. Women multiply. That's what the divine feminine is meant to do. That's the reason why men, at the end of the day, we're built the way we are. We're meant to defend. We're meant to go out there and make sure that our divine feminine is protected. That's why we're built different. That's why our mindsets are different. And a lot of people tend to forget that. Now, at one point in history, we understood that. We truly did. That's why it's left all in our daggone history. And then now we're told to fear it. Friday the 13th, ooh, this murderous killer dude is going to come and get you. Ooh. They even use it so many different things. Like, you got the royal families that rule the world. It's 13 of them, right? I'm trying to think. There's more to it. Even the Bible has it in there. Yeah, Jesus and his 12 disciples. That's 13. It gets even deeper. Even in numerology, 13 is considered a karmic debt number. So you have all these different things surrounding that number, but yet 13 will be literally tied to the divine feminine, and we're told to fear it. That's what brings up something else that's called opposing forces. And a lot of things what people don't understand, or not don't understand. I need to stop saying that. Excuse me. Well, a lot of things people may not know is that, and now this is my personal perspective. Like, a lot of this stuff is, comment how you want to comment. I'm not. I'll be willing to talk back and forth with you. But there's technically in this world, there's really no such thing as good nor evil. The only thing that makes an act good or evil is the lens that we view it through. Because you can be born in cultures where there's a lot of heinous acts that, I might see as heinous acts and don't do them, but the culture you grew up in, it might be something normal. Like, I don't believe nobody should be stoned to death, but there's cultures out there that's like, oh yeah, no, do it, stone to death, firing squad. And I'm like, no. So it's through the lens you view it as. But opposing forces will always exist. And it doesn't always mean that, action versus reaction. What it really means is that, like, there's male and there's female. They're opposing forces when actually they're supposed to be combined, they're supposed to be balanced. Right now we're opposing forces because we're unbalanced, which is why women are getting treated the way that they are versus men. But it does happen on both sides, and that's a whole different conversation we're going to get into. But to dive deeper in it, as far as opportunities in the world, and as far as just living a normal life, at the end of the day, men have a greater advantage of that. Now, I'm not saying that, as far as societal pressure, men don't feel nothing. I'm not saying it's like, as far as this, I'm not saying that men don't go through their fair share of getting the crap into the stick. But just, if you look at just history, just how on a very consistent basis how women have been treated, and not just like if you're women in general, not to mention if you're women of an ethnic background, dude, men ain't got nothing on that. But it feels like it's being done on purpose, Like, women are told to be walk around and told to, like, kind of walk a certain way. So, and it's all, destroying the divine feminine. Which, if you was to put the divine feminine back in place, it would bring out the divine masculine. Because the divine feminine, see, I'm getting lost. I might have to do this in part 2. The divine feminine will begot the divine masculine, and the divine masculine begot the divine feminine. Because the one thing that both those sides know is, instead of calling her, oh, she's crazy, she's doing this, her hormones are off, the divine masculine knows what to say to his woman. Be like, okay, you're dealing with this issue. Do you need me to listen to you right now, or do you want me to solve the issue? Do we need to find a solution to this? Is this something that's bothering you now and for this moment, or is it going to bother you further on down the road? How would you like me to handle this situation? Give them a second, pause, let them respond to you. They go and tell you, hey, I just need you to listen to me. I'm just griping, that's it. That's all I'm doing. Or no, hey, this is a problem we're dealing with. I don't know. Do you have suggestions? And you let them in. And then you give them that fighting spirit that you got. And they take that fighting spirit and they multiply it and then they give it back, because then when you're at your weakest, they're gonna actually help you. Hey. So that is part one. I'm gonna have to get back with this, and I'm gonna definitely make it a little bit better for next time. But thank y'all for tuning in. Bye.